Carcassonne. Mi nombre es Joaquín y esto es Meeple Podcast. Willem De Gooyert, a man who has the biggest collection of Carcassonne objects I've ever been. He is a very active user from Carcassonne Central, Carcassonne Forum, Board Game Arena, and Kunko. Of course, he is always searching for Carcassonne material and people to contact with. But everyone have many questions about him and his hobby. We are going to know a bit more this interest character. William, welcome to Meeple Podcast.
Hi, Joaquin. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to join you. I've listened to several episodes of the podcast already with Melvin, Alexi, Chris, Hector, and I really like the series.
Thank you. I have been taking a look at the Carcassonne Museum on Instagram, and I think it's a crazy collection because it's an unusual way to collect by my point of view. All the boxes you have at the museum cover not only the basic game, their extensions or expansions and mini expansions, including every edition C1, C2, and the recent C3. Your collecting mania goes so far. You try to get every different language, color, or new kind of item around Carcassonne. Why? I mean, it's not enough for you the complete official edition in your own mother tongue?
Yeah, the collection has gotten a bit out of control. I was introduced to the game in 2016, and I started seriously collecting in early 2017. And in the beginning, I was just trying to collect all the different expansions. So I got all the different spin-offs after that, and then all the big boxes. And over the last few years, it just grew a lot bigger. I started by collecting boxes that had the name of the game spelled differently, such as Korean, Japanese, Russian, Bulgarian. More special editions, so base games with extra expansion, the special edition Wheel of Fortune, and here and there another base game. If I could get a box cheap that I didn't have, I would just pick it up. And when talking about the collection with some friends, it got referred to as the museum, which I quite liked. And so, yeah, the Carcassonne Museum was born as a fun term amongst friends. Last year, we moved into a new house, and I was able to put up some shelves to display the collection. And I've been thinking of setting up a YouTube channel to share information about the game, as I felt there was no place where detailed information about the history of the game was shared to a wider audience. And this then evolved into my Instagram, which allows me to share pictures with some text detailing the subject of the day. So at the beginning of the year, I started the Instagram account. I asked some friends about frequency of posts, and they suggested one post per day to start. And I've kept this going for 4 months now. I really like the collecting and trying to find things, so I just managed to collect full sets of certain publishers, such as German, Dutch, English, and even Japanese C1 sets.
Mm-hmm. William, tell me, what's the most strange thing you are?
I've got many strange things, I think, but for example, I've got a set of the adults of Carcassonne, which is a set of tiles made from drinks coasters, including a giant rubberized score track. There's also a Russian first edition, which I haven't seen anywhere else and might be very unique in my collection. But recently I received a set of 3D printed bridges in different shapes, T-shape, double length, corners, which I'm still to try out in a game, which was a gift from my good friend Hector, also known as Meepledrone. I love my Brazilian first edition as well, which got a bigger box with amazing art on it. But I think the strangest thing might be a Japanese book I have. So Carcassonne is big in Japan, as you know, and I've recently been able to complete my collection of Carcassonne games published in Japan. But there's also been 6 different books released over the years. Well, sorry, no, there've been only 6 different games released over the years, but there have also been a number of strategy guides made. And thanks to the help of some good friends like Danis30, for example, I've managed to collect 4 out of the 6 of those books. And one of them is a book where they created different characters and assigned the characters to each type of tile. The idea is to give a personality to the tiles and learn which tiles are in the base game. I think it's a brilliant idea, but it's also a concept we don't see very often here.
What are you looking for that you have not found yet?
I think the greatest regret I have was not to buy the special limited edition that was released in 2018. It was a handmade leather book form limited to 100 copies. And at the time I wasn't able to buy one, and I don't think any will come up for sale anytime soon. Apart from that one, I actually get very excited by even finding simple base games or expansions from a language that I don't have yet. I'd still like to find a Greek C1 game or a Hebrew one, but there are so many that I'd still like to find. There's so much I haven't gotten yet, and so many nice and unique things around that I don't think I'll ever be finished, but every collection is unique, and that's what I love about the game. Each game you play is unique, and every collector will have a unique story behind their collection.
Do you know how many meeples you are inside every box you have in your collection?
Well, believe it or not, but I actually do keep track of everything I have in much detail. I made an Excel file where I list every box, every expansion, every single item in my collection, and it also includes a tile count and a meeple count. I do often have things still on their way or with friends, but this file only has what I have in my museum now, and it will get updated every time something new arrives at my house. In terms of tiles, as of today, I've got just under 15,000 tiles across C1, C2 and C3 games and expansions, and another 3,500 in spin-offs. The meeple group is also quite big, not counting figures such as builders, pigs and neutral figures. I think it's just over 7,000 meeples from C1, C2, C3 games and expansions, and then another 1,500 from spin-offs.
Wow. And what do they do, meeples I mean, while you are sleeping at night?
Well, I'd hope they're guarding the museum at night, or at least having a good time together. As there are so many, not all of the meeples get to play often, so I hope they manage to entertain themselves in a bit. With so many friends, I can only imagine the parties they could have.
Have you ever been at the annual Essen Festival?
Not yet, but I'm going this year. Together with some friends from the UK, Dan, Tom, Rich, we've already booked our hotel and we'll be going for the full weekend. I'm really looking forward to it, as I've heard so many good things about it, and I'll make sure to visit the Handsome Gluck booth a lot, as well as trying other games and just having a good time with friends.
What would you like to do shortly around Carcassonne World?
I would love to meet Klaus-Jürgen Wrede and show him pictures of my museum. I hear he's a very nice person and genuinely interested in the fandom of the game, so I'd really like to show him what his game from over 20 years ago has led to now. Apart from that, I'm also actually working on scanning in all the rules that I have. There's already a lot of not a great number of rule books available on the Carcassonne forum, but I'd like to contribute to by sharing even more. And of course, I want to keep building my collection up. No idea if it will ever be fully complete, but I like the process so far.
Have you played a Mega Carcassonne game once at least?
Yes, I've played several Mega Carcassonne games. I think the biggest I played was with uh, all the tiles, which was a normal and winter base game, together with almost every expansion. But I should really set up an even bigger game, as I've got enough tiles for it now. I think the world record for most tiles in a single game of Carcassonne was set by Paul in Sweden, who played a game of 10,007 tiles. So I've got enough tiles to break that, but I'm not looking to do so. Paul was the first to set up such a big game, and I'm still amazed that he managed to do it. There was also once a Carcathon, which was a group of 4 players who played the game and all of the spin-offs in one day in London. I've been talking to a friend to see if we can set one of those up again, with even more games now on the list.
What about Carcassonne Central and Carcassonne Forum?
Well, I joined Carcassonne Central early 2017, and yeah, I'm still very active there. It's a great community for players and collectors alike, and a great source of information about the game. Through this forum, I've been lucky to meet some great people, and I've met up with some of them several times to play games and exchange things we bought together. I've learned a lot of my knowledge of the game and specific expansions or releases from the community there. There's also a Discord channel of Carcassonne Central where I'm very active and which has grown a lot. Through Carcassonne Central, I also got involved with the Wikipedia with Hector Meepledrone. He invited me to help out, and I like to update the collections and expansions page to keep it up to date. This page shows all the different versions of the game from every publisher, every language, and it's basically my shopping list. I am also on the Carcassonne forum, but I'm not as active there. The community there have done so much great work in sharing information about the game, new releases, and the history of the game. I do try to stay up to date with things going on there, although I don't post much there.
You are not an usual player of Board Game Arena, but you have a good level with only a bit more of 100 matches finished. What do you like much more, collecting or playing Carcassonne?
um, Earlier this year, I was asked to join a team in a UK Carcassonne tournament. It was set up as a friendly tournament where teams were led by members of the UK Carcassonne team. And I played against some really strong opponents, including multiple UK Carcassonne team members and even their captain. But through this tournament, I've gotten a bit more into the competitive side of the game, and I learned I was not as bad as I thought. I managed to win some games against amazing players like Chris, Dan, and Richard. They would win the best out of 3, but I did make it difficult for them. And I also got compliments for my play from them and also from Melvin, who I really look up to as a player and a person. I think I do like the collecting more, although I would like to find the time to play more on BGA and improve my play.
What do you think about competitive Carcassonne in comparison to play with extensions to have fun?
Well, I used to only play for fun and love to play with more and more expansions, but recently I've gotten more into the competitive playing with only the base game. So I've learned all the tiles in the base game and enjoy playing it against some great players. I'm very far from being a consistently good player, so I do need a lot of practice.
Okay, you are from Netherlands, live in UK, but your heart is in France, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I am indeed originally from the Netherlands, but I've lived in the UK for the last 5 years. And despite my love for this game, I'd say my heart is not mainly in France. Apart from the Carcassonne Museum, I'm a big fan of Brazilian samba music, like the carnival in Rio de Janeiro. And I've been playing this for many years and play and teach my own group in my hometown. So I've been to Brazil a few times, and I love the country, the people, and the culture.
Na 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 na. Have you visited the city of Carcassonne?
I have, yes. Earlier this year, me and my partner went to visit the city of Carcassonne for a long weekend. It came up as a silly idea a while ago, and when looking at the flights, we figured, well, why not? So we visited the city for 4 days, and I absolutely loved it. I made sure to bring some boxes with me, of course, and I managed to find the places that were the inspiration for the C1 and C2 box arts. And of course, we had to make sure to play Carcassonne in Carcassonne. And I really loved walking around in the old city as well as in between the walls. The view is really nice, and walking there during sunset was simply amazing. And even after that, in the evening, the walls are lit up with some big floodlights, giving it a whole new look. So I can definitely recommend for anyone to visit the old city, and I can't wait to go back someday.
Okay. Any other topic would you like to talk about?
Well, firstly, I'd like to share some exciting news about the museum. A good friend of mine has designed membership cards for me, and I decided to get them printed as well, and I received them a few days ago. As people have now shown interest in them, I've also decided to launch a Patreon on patreon.com/Carcassonne Museum. People can join and show their support for the museum and help it grow. There's different options with different rewards, but the membership card is available in all of them. I'm not expecting to make a lot from there, but it can be a nice way for people to show their support and help me with expanding the collection and sharing that with the community. So if people want to have a look, it would be greatly appreciated.
Okay. Have you any question for me? Do you want to ask me anything?
Well, I'd be interested to learn a bit more about Carcassonne, Spain. I hear it's been set up somewhat recently. Are there things that you expect to grow from the Carcassonne, Spain community?
Uh, Nobody inside Carcassonne, Spain. No. What will happen next season from September to next year? I think everyone in Carcassonne, Spain can do anything new to improve the community interaction. Look at Meeple Podcast, the Twitch channel, the tournaments around Spain, which name is under the Carcassonne Spain's umbrella. But I want to believe Carcassonne Spain became a big community to share many things, not only competitive Carcassonne.
Okay, that's nice to hear. And I was thinking, there's a very active online competitive community for the game, and of course Essen, where champions of each country come to compete. Do you think there'll be a growing community of people coming together internationally to not only play but also share information, exchange games, and talk about the game?
In the sense of competition, the participants must go to Essen to meet themselves to play. But around the collecting and making community, it's difficult to think about a meeting to share together out of the Essen festival. But it could be possible. An encounter to talk about Carcassonne in general and little meetings around every Essen expansions, collecting books, conferences, etc. I think so. Maybe in Essen, maybe in another place.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
Mhm. Well, let's continue with the interview. Short answers now. What's your favorite tile?
My favorite tile, I think, has got to be the CCFF tile. I like that with that description, it can still be multiple different tiles, but I like the city splitter the best. It's the tile that everyone wants to get at least once per game, I think, as it can stop people from joining into your city. And the chance of getting it is much smaller than getting a Dorito, so it adds some suspense to the game.
What expansion do you prefer?
Ooh, this is one I have to think about, because the usual answer would be inns and cathedrals, but I don't want to just go with that. I really like the 10th expansion, Under the Big Top, as it brings a fun element to the game and it works a bit better in most games as compared to the catapult. There's some mini expansions I also really like, such as the German cathedrals, as they make roads a lot more attractive. But there are many great expansions I don't really play enough with.
Okay, thanks for coming, Willem. I see you at Kyrgyz Museum.
Thank you so much for having me on the Meeple podcast, Joaquin. I hope to see you soon at the museum, and don't forget to bring your membership card.
Okay, that's all. See you in the next episode. Bye bye.